What is up, my friends? I do apologise, I'm a couple of minutes late. I was having a little bit of an email issue that I had to sort out, so sincere apologies. But don't worry, you haven't missed any signings in the meantime, because we're still going to ask that age-old question. Where's the money, John? Where's the money? Because that's what we need to figure out, right? We've seen lots of links to players outgoing now. We've spoken about the likes of offers for Sepp van den Berg, which came in today and was swiftly rejected. We've seen the stuff last night around Watoro Endo as well. We're going to talk about his future at Liverpool Football Club tonight. We're going to be ruling some players out of moves to Liverpool Football Club. I don't think you're going to be too upset about one of them. The other one, a couple of people do like the idea of. So look, we do have a lot to go through on tonight's show, and I'm here for as long as you need me. Right, I just got to check a few little things at my end. Bear with me. There we go. Cool. Right, we're good to go. And as I said, I do apologise for being a couple of minutes late this evening. I was having some technical issues because I am, and I can't say this strongly enough, a technical idiot. So, I hope you've all had a lovely day. The weather's been absolutely cracking. Obviously, before we get stuck in to tonight's stream, I just want to say, of course it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, all of our love, support, best wishes, thoughts, prayers are with the families of those people in Southport affected by that disgusting, tragic incident that occurred earlier on today. For those of you who aren't sure what it is, I'm not going to repeat it and walk you through it, but just to anybody who knows anybody from that part of the city, or part of Liverpool and Merseyside I should say, our love, best wishes and thoughts are with you guys, and it is incredibly sad what happened there this afternoon. Right, folks, let's get into tonight's stream. Right, evening, Craig. Let's hope August brings a few surprises. Yes, a few positive surprises would be nice, wouldn't it? You know, I don't like sitting here asking all the time, where's the money, John? But, you know, somebody's got to do it. Spoke with Carl Porter on the phone actually earlier on today, just confirming a few bits for the live show. Carl's raring to go. He's going to perform a 20-minute stand-up set on the night to kick us off as well in Liverpool. And then it's going to be myself, and then I'll be joined by Mr. David Lynch as well for a live Q&A. So reminder, if you haven't yet got your tickets for the live show, it is happening this Sunday in Liverpool and Friday in Cardiff. And of course, you can get your tickets with the link pinned to the top of the live chat or in the description of this stream. It is an all-ages event, meaning everybody's welcome to come along. Right, first super chat of the night, let's get crack-a-lackin'. Stevie boy, you always seem to get in first, my man. I love it. Well played. So, Craig, who's delaying the transfer business? Is it FSG or Slot? Well, I find it very difficult to believe, Stevie boy, that it's Arne Slot, considering his input on transfers is going to be, let's say, minimal at best. I think that's the fairest way to say it. Minimal at best. Because the transfer decisions were made before Arne Slot came in. And what I mean by that is the areas that we know we need to strengthen in. Of course, there's still some debate about fringe players. And that's where Arne Slot does have time and the ability to have a look at the squad. When people say assess the squad, for me, and I can only speak for me, I always think that Arne Slot needs to assess the fringe players. So, will Sepp van den Berg stay around? Is Fabio Carvalho good enough? Will Tyler Morton have a place? These are questions that I think are sensible and questions that any new incoming manager would want to ask of the squad. But about transfers, it's a little bit different because he's not going to be in charge of transfers, and the positions that are going to be strengthened are ones that aren't even up for debate and ones that have been agreed everywhere, which is a centre-back, a midfielder and a forward. So I don't think it's Arne Slot. It'll either be down to Richard Hughes or the owners. I don't even know if Michael Edwards is overly involved in this window. You heard Arne Slot speaking during the week and he said, myself and Richard have been speaking about things. Richard has been working on things. Others involved as well. But he never name-dropped Michael Edwards. Right, I've got a membership comment to bring up. Let's stay positive. How many trophies this season, said DCP. Right now, none. And that isn't me just being negative. I think that's a fair assessment. You never know what might happen in a domestic cup competition. But we're not winning the Premier League or the Champions League with the squad as it currently is. It would take a lot of things to go in our favour. It would take a lot of players to stay fresh, not pick up injuries. It would take the referees not to shaft us like they did last season. So I don't see a way that this squad, as it currently sits now, could realistically challenge for one of the two big honours, which is the Premier League or the Champions League. That's my honest take on it. As of right now, we need to strengthen. We need some additions. And I don't think that's unfair of me. Carl said, random question. Do you watch any of the Olympics? If so, what do you watch? I was watching the tennis yesterday. I was watching some of the boxing, some of the diving, some of the swimming, but not that much as of yet. Of course, it's only really got started, but there's always some really interesting human stories, Carl, that draw you into the Olympics, isn't there? There's always a lovely story behind some of the competitors. So, yeah, I'm just easing my way into it. Actually, do you know, I watched a little bit of the skateboarding earlier on as well. Right, let's get straight into the news anyway. So I'm going to go through what we know as of right now, and then we're going to talk about what's possible. So a couple of players that we can rule out. Let's start with that. Apparently, and I don't believe this for one goddamn second. Let me say that before I start. I don't believe it, but a report coming out in Italy suggests Adrien Rabiot rejects Liverpool. Excuse me? You want to go again there? Adrien Rabiot does not appear to be coming to Liverpool. Tuta Juve have reported that the Frenchman rejected an offer from Liverpool. So let me tell you why that's nonsense. Firstly, we can put it in the very much absolutely did not happen category. But on top of that, he's had googly eyes for Liverpool for years. You've seen pictures of him on social media on a European night at Anfield with love heart emojis and all that. He would come to Anfield in a heartbeat. He's tried to make his way to Anfield on a few occasions, but the club have never had an interest in making it happen. So not for a second do I believe that there's absolutely any truth to that. Yeah, not a chance. And anybody who wants him as well, I would question what you're looking at, but no, not a chance. Never going to happen. Even on a free transfer, it was just silliness. But another player who's been ruled out because he isn't available is Arda Güler. Now, we'd seen some links to potential loan moves for him away from Real Madrid. Fabrizio Romano's been speaking on the player, and he said he's going to be a key part of Real Madrid's plans. He's not available even on loan, and he's only focused on Real Madrid now. Bayer Leverkusen were the latest team to be linked. And I would go as far as to say that if they were going to loan him out, it would probably be to Bayer Leverkusen as a nice little nod to Xabi Alonso to say, come on, next season we'll give you a lend of Arda Güler, and then next season you can bring him back with you to the Santiago Bernabeu and make things happen there. So that's another one that we can say isn't going to happen. Now, our friends at Anything Liverpool, they put out a stat of the day. I have to ever so slightly correct it, but the premise of it is correct. In these leagues that I'm about to mention, the Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, and the Portuguese League, every club in every one of those leagues, except Liverpool, have made a signing. Let that sink in. Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, and the Portuguese Primera Division. Every single one of those clubs have signed a player in this summer's transfer window, except us. But let's be patient. FSG know what they're doing. Trust the process. Yawn. That's not even embarrassing. That is actually scandalous. Now, they said it was in Europe's top 5 leagues, but they're incorrect there because the French division is in Europe's top 5 leagues. But either way, that is shocking. Shocking. What are they getting paid for at this point? Like, what are they doing? There's not even, and look, trust me, I'm looking, there's not even real concrete links to a player. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing, my friends, that we have still not conducted business with 32 days to go in the transfer window. Just 32 days to get 3 transfers in and get rid of all the players who are surplus to requirements. 32 days. We haven't been able to do it in the last 50, but sure, we'll get it all done in 32. That's what we're supposed to believe. Is there anybody out there who still thinks that there isn't a little bit of skullduggery, is a word that we'd use here in Ireland, going on with this? I have another comment to bring up, another membership chat. Morganski, thank you, mate, for being with us, member for 5 months. Dortmund raid for Moukoko and Nico Schlotterbeck is a suggestion. Well, we touched on Moukoko in this morning's video. His agent was speaking with Fabrizio Romano and did say that he's moving. He wants to move away from Dortmund. I think he only made 4 first team appearances last season, or 4 starts last season. We did look at this kid when he was 17. I'm not sure if there's still interest there, but if he wants to move away and he's a talent that Liverpool deem good enough, well, I'd say there's a decent price point there. But again, you're still talking cheap here, aren't we? We're not talking about the be-all and end-all. So Joey Veerman, that's another name that started doing the rounds today. There was an offer that came in for Sepp van den Berg from PSV Eindhoven. That offer was €10 million, so about £8.5 million, and that was rejected straight away by Liverpool. And then a rumour came out that Liverpool were interested in PSV Eindhoven midfielder Joey Veerman. That's not true either. Even sources over in the Netherlands have put that one to bed. So, as of right now, I truly do just sit here with not a clue what we're at. I'm clinging on to the fact that Atalanta are showing an interest in Tyler Morton. Because if they want Tyler Morton, and we want to move on Tyler Morton, and sign a midfielder from Atalanta, i.e. Ederson, surely we can make something happen there. It's... I don't know how we're expected to be competitive. Like, let's be honest about it. We've a new manager and that's going to take time for him to settle in. And that's fine. That's expected. I'm not complaining about that. But the fact that you still haven't got a signing in. I mean, how much faith are we putting in these guys to get this done? Like, it's asking a lot now of even the most optimistic Liverpool fan to think that there isn't something to be concerned about right now. Right, so Skydiving Heck, thank you for your super chat. Said, who'll be the first choice left wing? Diaz or Gakpo? And is Trent Alexander-Arnold playing midfield this year? So I'm going to answer the first part of your question first. My guess, probably to start the season, Gakpo. Because I think he'll be back a little bit sooner than Lucho. Obviously, Colombia all the way to the final of the Copa America. That final coincided with the final of the Euro. So I would say Gakpo will be back a bit earlier. So my thought process there would be Gakpo will start the season on the left. And with Trent, I honestly haven't got a clue, mate. I don't know. I've been asking the same question myself. Should we expect Trent in midfield or should we expect him right back? And honestly, I haven't got a clue right now. I don't even know if Arne Slot's made that decision fully yet because, of course, he hasn't had a chance to work on the training ground with Trent. Craig, I think we're going to get that old pony at the end of the transfer window by FSG that, the right player wasn't available. Tommy, you see it every year, bro. Every year, every window, and people still buy it. The fans of the accountancy side of Liverpool that get hard-ons for FSG not spending money, they'll all be out in force, making the excuses, talking about the saviour of the club from 12, 13 years ago and all the other nonsense that we have to listen to month after month, season after season, that makes excuses for the fact that John W. Henry, Tom Werner and the rest of FSG are just cheap. So, I'm not here to tell other people when to have the benefit of the doubt and when not to. I can only give you my opinion on things. And this is an utter disgrace at this point. If you still have nothing. Remember, we were all hopeful we'd get a little opportunistic signing at the end of June for the PSR calculations. So we were all, and especially me, I was thinking, surely there's a club here that we can leverage, a club we can lean on. And we didn't get something sorted there. And I thought, okay, that's fair enough. Maybe there just wasn't the right person available, or maybe clubs weren't in as dire need as we potentially thought. Let that go by. And we've gone through the whole of July now. We're now on the 29th of July. And still nada, nothing. Not one incoming signing. Not offers gone in that we know of. What are we at? And Endo, the old line about Endo is hilarious. So, of course, there was the Marseille offer for Endo that Fabrizio Romano then said actually happened a couple of weeks back. And then David Lynch said there's been some interest in Endo from the Bundesliga. And then the line came out, the age-old reliable. As it stands, Liverpool have no... What's the phrase I always use? Liverpool are not actively looking to sell Wataru Endo, but we kind of are. You know, if you're briefing, and it was briefed to say this, let me just read you out something first, so you know where I'm going with this. David Lynch, I think this is, yes, David Lynch speaking on Wataru Endo, said, Endo is not going to be integral to the plans this season. That is very much my understanding at the moment anyway. So, look, let's be adults about this. They want to sell Endo, and they're trying to stir up more interest, and apparently that interest is there from the Bundesliga. So, then you're going to hear that we can't sell Endo till we have a replacement lined up. And this is where the problem comes. Where is this replacement? Where is this defensive midfielder that we've needed before the new manager came in? That we needed last season? Still nothing. I refuse to believe that there is not one midfielder plying his trade anywhere in the world who isn't an improvement on the options that we have. Now, I know that we're going to get told the obvious stuff. Michael Edwards won't settle for second best. Michael Edwards wants the guy that ticks every box and is willing to wait for it. But we've already been waiting. This is our third year. Those aren't my words, those are the Echo's words. Third year looking to fill this position. And here we are. Windows going by, club strengthening around us. Nothing. Nada. Zip. Right, let me get some super chats sorted. Akib, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, my friend. If I haven't, I apologise. Yes, man. Do you think Arne Slot is a good manager? Yeah, genuinely, I'm really excited to look at his style of play. You know, we've had a small sample size of it. We've seen some highlights from the Preston game. We got to see the game against Real Betis. And it was very interesting to see how we want to kill teams with the ball now. You know, we want to just run them into the ground, pass the ball, make the right decisions. Yeah, I do believe he's a good coach. But remember, Jurgen Klopp couldn't win the league with this team. And I'm not ready yet to admit that Arne Slot's a better coach than Jurgen. So if Kloppo couldn't do it last season when we were in a great position and we fell away, it's more obvious than ever that we need those replacements and we need those additions to the squad. Craig, I just came. Are we signing anyone, John? Well, Richard, probably will sign somebody, mate, but there's nothing that any of us believe is imminent that we're aware of. Yeah, I'm going full, I don't know, Jonathan Ross. Nothing impending, mate, that I'm aware of. You don't know. No, I did record a podcast episode that's going to be out tomorrow, so I hope you guys get a chance to check that out. It's Jack Gill's birthday, so we didn't make Jack work today. I did it solo. It will be coming out tomorrow, so let us know if you check it out. Another super chat to bring up on screen from Mr. Ipswich Town. How are you, sir? Do you think we are a potential banana skill for you? Yes. Yes, sincerely, yes. You know, I never want to play away from home against a newly promoted side on the opening day of the campaign, mate. Never. Let alone a side like yourselves who, under your manager, have a very, very clear style of play, know each other very well, played really good football last year to get up from the Championship. I'm not expecting an easy game at all. 12:30 kick-off. No, nothing but respect, mate, coming from me. I'm not expecting anything but a very, very difficult afternoon, which just adds to my frustration, really, about why we haven't signed anybody yet. And the fact that we're getting a lot of players back really close to the start of the new season as well, those who went very far in the international competitions. I think you'll find a lot of people in the chat here may have a lot of respect for Ipswich. Kieran McKenna's done a wonderful job, and the fact that he stayed, signed on the new deal, I think that's a great statement from him of the backing he got at the club and, you know, what he's been able to do. Back-to-back promotions. That is incredible. You guys, I mean, you must be loving life. And fair play. It's a great story, great to see. And there'll be no disrespect coming from me, my man. So yes, I will say it's a potential banana skin. But, you know, I'd also say that if we're firing on all cylinders, I'd expect us to win the game. But it's not going to be easy. Thank you, Corey Hobson, for the super sticker, bro. Appreciate you. Right, let me look back to my notes here. An interesting little tidbit in the Daily Mirror about trainee only. So we've all been wondering what's going to happen with Trey. Really impressive little cameo in the game against Real Betis. Came on for Curtis Jones around the half-hour mark. All of us were thinking, yes, he played really well. Deservedly given high scores on all the player ratings I've seen. Really enjoyed watching him, and I'm sure you guys did as well. The Mirror said Liverpool won't be throwing their newest starlet, trainee only, straight into the Premier League action, despite some sparkling pre-season performances. So it's probably the right decision. You know, we can all see from looking at Trey, the talent is there. There's no doubt about that. The kid's a really, really good footballer. But he does need to, you know, add some physicality, build up a little bit, add a little bit of muscle mass, and develop a bit more. So I think it'll be a measured start for him. So don't be expecting him to come in and be challenging for starting places. In fact, I don't even know if we'll see him in every match day squad for the start. But he will get his opportunities, and then it's going to be up to him to take them, which I've no doubt he will. What else was there? So, according to the Daily Record, which is a Scottish paper, they say that Matt O'Reilly is willing to wait for a move to Atalanta, with clubs across Europe chasing for his signature. 23 years of age, Danish international. I think they've already rejected one offer. Liverpool's name has been tenuously linked with him as well. But Atalanta are already shopping. And they're shopping as if they know they're going to lose a midfielder. Now, what I'm wondering, and again, I could be putting 2 and 2 together here and making up 6, but I'm wondering, are we going to sign Ederson, but they need their replacement first? Because they could well lose Coop Miners as well. Juventus sniffing around him. Our interest in Coop Miners has been spoken about quite a bit this summer as well. But maybe they want to bring in a replacement, and maybe they're just trying to get a deal done there. But if that's the case, again, it's a high-risk strategy from us. Jonesy lad said, love the channel, Craig. Highlighted my day tuning in. Thank you. I'm having a bit of a weird one today, I'll be honest with you. I've got a case of the old 2-bob bits today, and it's been a rough one. So it didn't. That's why there was no evening video coming out today. I was honestly on the sofa in bits, just wasn't feeling well. Got a burst of energy to come on for the stream though, so didn't want to let you guys down on that one. With regards to Jayden Danns, he is injured. He stayed behind to just recover from a back injury. It's not anything too serious, but it's expected that he'll go out on loan this season. You know, you've probably seen the links with Plymouth and Wayne Rooney as well there for Jayden Danns. I think that's the right call. You wanted that kid out scoring, playing week after week and building up his confidence, and I don't think we could give him that assurance just yet at Liverpool. So what I would like to see there is a loan with an option to cancel that loan perhaps, or maybe even just a loan till January and then we reassess again. United supporters always claim about the owners, yet their owners always back the managers with transfers, such complainers. Since Ten Hag has come into Manchester United, they've spent more than 200 million more than us. They've spent over $500 million since Ten Hag has come in. We've spent about 300 million in the same time, and we had a rebuild to do last season. So yeah, they've every right to complain about their owners because, look, let's be honest, the Glazers, they're not the greatest owners, far from it. But they certainly can never say that there wasn't money available. Yes, I agree with you on that one. You can say it's been wasted, but they have had money available, and they've spent a lot of it. Off the post, thank you for your super chat, my friend. Really appreciate it. Said, do you think we will make signings? Honestly, I have to. I have to think that way, mate. I have to believe we will. Like, if I was to sit here and say to you right now, that hand on heart, I don't believe we're going to make a signing. To me, that's basically like admitting I've given up. Because the club would have given up. The owners would have given up at that point. There's no way anybody can convince you or me or anybody with half a brain that an owner not strengthening a team with a new coach, watching his rivals strengthen when he's already playing catch up, that is an owner that wants to win. So, you know, I've been cranky about this all summer and moaning and asking where's the money and swearing and everything else. And I know people say to me all the time, relax, time, Craig, a bit too early for the moaning, and I get it. But I've been around. I remember these owners. I remember how these windows work. I remember the goddamn frustration every transfer window, and the excuses and the lies And as you move closer into August, it's easy for people to just sit back and go, well, you were told Richard Hughes said you're going to do your business in August. Okay, but we also know a couple of other things about the last month of a transfer window. Any club you want to buy from will probably have to make a replacement signing, so they're not going to want it to go late into the window. The deeper into the window you go, the more desperate you become, and the more the price tag goes up. And that lines up and very much feeds into, well, there was no value in the market. We tried to do it, but the prices being asked were just astronomical. You'll get every excuse under the sun, time and time again. But still, you will be called impatient, you will be called ungrateful, fake fan, half a fan, plastic fan, sofa fan, armchair fan. Everything but these clowns who still defend the owners and their spending actually putting their hands up in the air and saying, do you know what? We got it wrong. We shouldn't have believed in the owners. We should have seen this coming. And there is still time, but my God, it's getting to squeaky bum time right now. Nathan Allen, let me just bring up your super chat, sir. Again, say thank you. Do you think there are good Ederson, 30 million plus Tyler Morton, Diamande or Gay about 50 million, then Chiesa 20 million, price tag Rabiot I think are doable. So Rabiot's shit. Forget about Rabiot. Always wants too much money. Absolute prima donna. No, thank you very much. With regards to the other one, Diamande currently is a right-sided centre-back of a back three. We're looking to bring in somebody to take the left-sided centre-back position longer term when Virgil leaves and to compete with Virgil right now. So I would have thought Diamande, although we'd looked at him, maybe not. Gay, David Lynch told me that he doesn't believe that Mark Gay of Crystal Palace is going to be the centre-back that Liverpool go after. And Ederson plus 30 million for Tyler Morton, I think we'll probably start the process a bit lower than that. You know, because if we value Tyler Morton at 20 and we wanted to come in to buy a player who we value at, let's say, 40 to 45, I probably expect a little bit of a lower opening offer. But look, it's easy for me and you to sit here and say, well, Tyler Morton to Atalanta, but, you know, the player himself, Tyler, would have to fancy the move as well, and I can't speak to his interest or not in a move away. Tanya, let me get up your super or your membership message. 1 second, Tanya. Late again. Sorry, I think next 2 weeks signings. I hope so, because the Premier League's kicking off in 2.5 weeks, so I would hope so. You know, I'm trying not to swear there, Tanya. I would hope so, my friend, because the club need to get their finger out. Shane, how are you, my friend? And thank you for your super chat. Congratulations to Mona McSherry on earning bronze at the Olympics. Ireland's first medal of the summer and first ever medal in swimming at the Olympics. Well, that part simply isn't true. The last part, because Michelle De Bruyne won medals for Liverpool. I'm gonna try that again, bro. We've won medals in the pool before. There's some questions about, you know, the samples taken afterwards and that, but we have won pool medals. But that doesn't take away from an incredible achievement. She finished second yesterday, if I remember correctly, second fastest in the semi-final heats. But to go on and get a bronze medal, that's incredible. Incredible, Shane. And I definitely echo your sentiment of congratulations to her on getting Ireland's first medal of the Olympics and our first swimming medal in quite a while. I was looking at that come in, Shane. I was like, oh, Shane's a United fan if my memory's right. This is going to be a bit of banter about the transfer window. So you pleasantly surprised me there. Okay. So this is quite interesting. It's coming from the Echo, but it's not really an Echo story. They're quoting a football finance expert, and I'll read this out here. It says, now is the time for Liverpool to cash in on Mohamed Salah if they want to sell him and they've got a financial offer on the table. That's according to football finance expert Dr. Dan Plumley. And he goes on to say, it was Saudi Arabia who came in for Salah last year, and it might be Saudi again this summer. Liverpool have got to ask themselves, will we get this kind of money offered to us again for him? Liverpool are in a good position as they don't have to sell like some clubs who are near their PSR calculations, but in the end it comes down to a financial decision. You need to assess if the offer is over the odds for the player at that point. You have to listen to those offers because you will likely not get that chance again, especially in Salah's case. I don't think there's any way that Salah gets sold this summer from his side. Not necessarily just from our side, but from his side. Because why would he? You know, we've talked about this quite a bit. He knows all he needs to do is sit tight till January and he can sign on the dotted line to go as a free agent the following summer anywhere outside the Premier League and get that payday, get a big juicy signing on bonus and sail off into the sunset. So, yeah, I don't think there is going to be any sale of Mo this summer, as much as it probably would be the right decision if one came in to sell him this summer. Tanya, thank you for your super chat again. Said, we have to hope or we wouldn't be true Liverpool fans. Yeah, but it's the hope that kills you as well. You know, you got to remember that age-old phrase, Tanya. I just can't have any faith in the owners, Tanya. I just can't. You know, I've got every faith on the players and the manager. I'll get behind them. As soon as the season starts and we're underway, that's it. You know, we talk about the players, the games, but up until that point, when the clock's a ticking and we are 32 days away from the new Premier League season getting underway, and we are one of the only clubs in Europe at this point, certainly in the leagues we mentioned earlier on, not to have signed a player. You know, let's go back over those leagues. Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, Portuguese League, Premier League. And Liverpool are the only side, not the only top side, the only actual team not to have made an incoming transfer. It's just... It's unfathomable to me that that's the case at this point. Anyone worried about United building a 100k stadium? I can't lie to you, mate. I read that article earlier on. I read the piece on Sky. They were talking about... I think it was Andy Cole was looking at SoFi and using SoFi Stadium as an example in Inglewood in California, and how it revitalised and regenerated the whole area. And if United are using that as a benchmark for the 100,000 seater stadium they want to build, I'm not going to lie, mate, I'd be jealous. SoFi is an incredible stadium, and if they get anything even close to resembling that, yeah. But look, we are talking years away, yeah. You know, you're a long way away from a spade being put in the ground on that. But reports today do suggest that Manchester United are considering not renewing or not revamping Old Trafford, but building another stadium, and 100,000 capacity is certainly the number that was doing the rounds. Are the links with Kubo true? No, they're not, Lewis. The Sociedad president already said that Kubo was staying. Anybody that I've spoken to about Kubo, no. It said that it's an interesting link, alright, but there doesn't seem to be too much truth to it that people know of anyway. Vidor said, we need to be calm, signings will come, it's more important to get the right player. Yeah, but I'm sick of that crap, mate. With all due respect to you, and I'm just not blessed with the patience that you are, and I don't trust these owners. So, you know, hearing the phrase be patient when there's 32 days left in a window that was open for about what, 75, 76 days the whole window will be, something like that, and we've got 32 left and we haven't done a goddamn thing. I'm past the phrase of being patient, mate. With all due respect, that's not happening. Liam said United on top of what? What exactly are you on top of? Genuine question. The Europa League? United aren't on top of anything, my friend. It's way, 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 way too early to be getting that cocky as a United fan when you've got Ken Lasso as your manager. And, yeah, I mean, calm down. That made me laugh. Oh, thanks. I needed a little chuckle today, and that certainly did it, bro. That certainly did it. United won't be challenging anywhere near a title this season, mate. Best case scenario, top 5. Nick, let me grab your super chat up, mate. I'm so proud of myself for learning to work this new back-end system, by the way, which brings up the super chats and all. Nick, how are you, bro? Right, let me just heart your comment and then we give you a little read. FSG are fumbling a massive opportunity to regain the faith of many fans after Jurgen's departure. A massive transfer window for the new gaffer would have done that. Think it's too late for that. I don't know if it's too late, Nick. Like, let me just play out a few scenarios for you. Let's say tomorrow you and I woke up to the news we'd agreed a fee for, I don't know, a top-class centre-back that we were all happy with. Then you'd start to think things might be a bit more realistic, right? If one came in quick, then you're thinking, right, if you get the midfield sorted, then we've got a bit of wiggle room, bit of time to play around, to maybe look for that forward or fullback to come in. But there's been a lot of silence around FSG in this window. And there's been a lot of questions from Liverpool fans asking, one, who's conducting the business? And I believe it's more so Richard Hughes than Michael Edwards, from what I can gather. And remember, they're still looking to buy another club as well, so we've got to take that into consideration. They've also watered down their own brain trust somewhat by, going into golf as well, looking to buy more clubs. There's only so much attention and time that anybody can give to something. So these owners are absent owners at best. And I'm going to say what I always say. If they're not arsed about the Boston Red Sox, their hometown team, what hope have we got of them really caring? They're brilliant at PR. They're great at putting out the statements and all the guff that goes along with that, and briefing the friendly media to do their work for them and, calm us all down and make the excuses on their behalf. But there's not enough critical thinkers out there in the media at the moment. Or at least there's not enough people with the, I could say backbone, but the truth is a lot of the times these journalists are under instruction from higher ups. I'm sure the journalists would love to ask some of the questions we want them to ask, but the fans have the freedom of critical thinking. The fans can speak up and let their voices be known. But for some reason, and it's one I've never really been able to figure out, there's too many of them that just are happy to make excuses. And that disgusts me. Shane said, sorry, I thought RT said it was our first pool medal. Oh, mate, don't worry about it, Shane. All good, mate. Either way, it's still a great day for Irish sport. So we'll both agree on that one. Michelle De Bruyne, I think she won 2, if my memory's right. But still a great day for Irish sport nonetheless, mate. So I'm with you on that one. Let me just bring this one up. Hello, Craig. Big fan here. Well, then, let me say thank you, first and foremost, for that one. Thank you for keeping me up to date with the club. What do you think about our performance against Real Betis? All the way in Egypt. Love it, mate. Welcome in, and thank you so much for joining us. I thought there was some good and some bad in it, but overall, then, you don't want to look too much into the performances in pre-season. You've seen mad results like Celtic beating Manchester City, as an example. Salford beating Everton, I think it was. So I just look for these little relationships and to see how sharp we looked. And I have to say, then, I've been really, really impressed. Down the right side, I thought we looked really good against Real Betis. Szoboszlai, Salah and Conor Bradley, they were hooking up and linking up really, really well. I would like to have seen a bit more on the left-hand side. I thought Elliott kind of looked a bit lost at times in the game. The centre-back situation was a little bit shaky at times, but I guess understandable as well when you've got a combination that don't play together all the time in Kwanzaa and Van den Berg and 2 young centre-halves. Yaros, I thought, did quite well in the half that he came on for. Made the only real save he had to make in the game. So, yeah, not too bad. I thought Salah looked quite sharp, to be fair. I thought he looked really good. And if Szoboszlai and Salah and Bradley can build that relationship up over the season, I think we're in for some fun times. Would you swap Fabio for Anthony? See, I can't answer that question because how you think I want to answer that question about not wanting certain people at our football club, let's just say, certain types of people with certain issues hanging over their head, shall we say. So for that reason and a few others, no, I don't. Also, little note to the BBC. Is there any chance, lads, any chance whatsoever that you could, root out the old Savalesque type hosts, personalities, employees? Another one. And you know what else gets me? If I'm not mistaken, this little squirmy fuck also got to hide behind mental health. And again, undermine those with genuine mental health concerns. Not because they're worried because they're hiding something. That's not a mental health issue. That's called having a goddamn conscience. So to see that little worm, yet again, hide behind mental health issues while he's today being charged with making images. And again, I'm being very careful about my wording in this. It's doing my head in. Like, again, these are the people that are lecturing the rest of us on morals. And this is what we're supposed to take instruction from. These cretins. I'm quite proud of that. I think I navigated that one quite well, folks. I didn't mention a name, a word, and a few other. I'm quite happy with how that one came, actually. I think I sailed through that one. I think we survived it. Dan, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my friend. Appreciate it. Not only was he giving us a super chat, there he is becoming a member as well. Thank you so much, bro. So look, let's get into more transfer talk because there is still a lot more for me to go through. Fabrizio Romano has said there's absolutely no change in the Trent Alexander-Arnold situation just because the defender's been pictured having dinner with Jude Bellingham. They're great friends and that's it. That's all very well and good, Fabrizio. Dinner's one thing, mate, but roller coasters? We all know what roller coasters mean. Roller coasters, well, let me just take your mind back to a certain Virgil van Dijk. A little jolly up to Blackpool. Nothing to see here. Until there was. But I do agree with Fabrizio. There's probably nothing to it. But it's still not very comforting right now when we know Trent hasn't got a new deal. What happened to the war chest and the Caicedo money? John got a brand new motherfucking yacht. It's a big yacht with lots of space. John has lots of money. John. I don't know. Anything could have happened with it. No idea. We did a poll the other night in the channel, actually, and 2/3 of you guys didn't even believe that was a legit bid. You thought it was a PR exercise. So... was the money ever there is probably the more realistic question. And I have to say, of all the doubts I have of the owners, I do think that was a sincere bid. As Arsenal fans are saying Calafiori is the new Maldini. Do you agree? Ah, yeah, sure. When have Arsenal fans ever been wrong on that? They're not ones for overhyping their players or anything, It's not like they were saying Saliba was the best defender in the world after a month. Or they, said Saka was better than Salah, even though he's never once done numbers near it. So if Arsenal fans say something, we best sit up and listen. I asked the same Arsenal fans, have they ever heard of Calafiori 6 months ago? And then let's see how he's the new Maldini. Look, it's a good signing. Of course it is. It's a signing that certainly strengthens an already very good Arsenal defence. But they have to deliver now. There's only so many times Mikel Arteta's going to get away with doing nothing in the Champions League, finishing runner-up or third in the Premier League and surviving off that FA Cup win. 6 years or so in there now. He's got to start delivering league titles when he's spending 100+ million on a midfielder, bringing in a backup centre-back at 42 million quid. John W. Henry still having palpitations about the idea of spending that type of money on a centre-back, and Arsenal are bringing him in as cover. And that's, again, that's what we're competing against. Clubs that have an actual ambition, like Arsenal. And Arsenal will sense what everybody else is sensing, that Man City are in a bit of a wobbly position at the minute. You know, De Bruyne, you know, his career is coming to the latter part, picking up more injuries. Haaland, we don't know if there's some trouble behind the scenes there. Alvarez looks like he wants out. Ederson looks like he wants out. So they're there for the taking, I think, this season. And Arsenal look like they're serious about wanting to be the ones that wrestle that league title away from them. I'd like our owners to have that kind of thought process as well. Luke said, if I could change one moment in Liverpool history, what would it be and why? So I'm obviously going to remove Hillsborough and Heysel and any tragedies, mate, because they're the obvious ones that we'd all like to have seen never happened, of course. We want people to come and go to football games and come home safe. So what would I change and why? It's got to probably, off the top of my head, the Stevie G slip. You know, because what annoyed me most about that game was the fact we didn't need to win it, and Rodgers was still pushing and pushing to try and win the game. A draw would have done us at that point. So that's one moment that I'm thinking about. Adrian and his mistake against Atleti in the Champions League at Anfield, that's another one. I mean, I could... Conceding the goal against Spurs last year in the game where we had 2 men sent off. Joke. Absolute joke. Sending offs. We had a perfectly good goal robbed off us, and we conceded an own goal right at the end. That hurt. And I hurt especially as well because it was Joel Matip, who, our defence had been so admirable that day and had worked so hard, and Joel was part of that. So if the Seals concede that late winner, that was heartbreaking stuff. So that's another one, I guess, another more recent one. Right, let me just get Fobby Rowler's super chat up on screen. Fobby Rowler, I love that. Alright folks, we're 7-1, third favourites to win the title. United 22-1, by the way. Always get bodies in soon, and who knows, good luck new season. Look, if we get bodies in, like you've said, you know, those odds will certainly shorten on us. At the moment, I have us between 3rd and 5th in my head if we went into the season tomorrow. So, you know, a couple of good astute signings, but what worries me now is, like, they have to be really, really good signings now. Like, it can't be... Like, we've been hearing a centre-back that's coming in will be a centre-back that is not necessarily going to come in to start, but to challenge. Nah, I'm sorry. I want a centre-back who everyone's shitting themselves at the club when they hear the name of this guy coming in, because they know they're probably going to be getting splinters on their backside. I want the central midfielder who we know is more than capable of doing the job and everybody agrees with. They're the type of signings we need now. Ones that 90% of us are on the same page. Examples, Fabinho. When we signed Fabinho, that was one of those, never really thought about that, but yeah, that works. Jota, I thought, yes, another good signing. I thought we probably paid a little bit too much for Jota, but I thought, yes, very good piece of business. Virgil van Dijk, we knew what we were getting when we signed the great man. Like, we knew we were getting a leader, we knew we were getting a winner. They're the type of signings we need to be making. But it worries me that, remember, John Achterberg came out the other day on a podcast, and he can speak with a bit more freedom now that he's not employed by Liverpool anymore. So he's over in Saudi Arabia with El Ettifaq as Steven Gerrard's goalkeeping coach, and he said, kind of unprompted, that we wouldn't have signed Alisson if we had have got Fekir in that window, because the money wouldn't have been available. Now, why would you go in for a negotiation to a player and a negotiation to a goalkeeper? And remember, the goalkeeper was the bigger need. 100%. Like, that was priority numero uno. So why even go into the negotiation for Fekir if you don't have the money? And the money wasn't available. Let alone have the poor fella there in the training kit doing all the media stuff, and then pull the plug on the deal and never explain why. These are worrying things. And I didn't say that. Another fan channel didn't make that up. An employee that was at the club came out and said, if we signed Fekir, we wouldn't have had the money. But I'm supposed to believe that John W. Henry will spend the money for the right players. Again, proof of the pudding is in the eating. And I'm a man who knows how to eat a pudding. Look at me. I am a pudding. Pro said FSG knew that Caicedo was going to Chelsea. The thing that annoys me about that situation is a little bit about Brighton, to be honest with you. Because Brighton set the process for Caicedo. Let me just bring this super chat back down, actually, sorry. Let me just remind you about that situation. So, Chelsea had agreed a deal, and Liverpool came in with an offer. And Brighton then decided to go to a sealed bids process, meaning both clubs had until midnight to put forward their best number. And Brighton said, whoever came up with the most money, they get to sign Caicedo. And Liverpool made a calculation, from what I can gather, I'm open to being corrected on this, but Liverpool made a calculation of a number that they didn't believe under FFP Chelsea were capable of paying, and put that number in. And we won the bid. Only then, it all went hayward. And this is where I have an issue with Brighton. Brighton should have held their nerve. If Brighton put that process in place, and Caicedo was saying, well, I'm going to Chelsea or nowhere, then you're going nowhere. I know it sounds mad coming from me, but that's the process that Brighton put in place. Liverpool did their part of that process, which was put forward a number that was an astronomically high number. And then all of a sudden, Chelsea went into full Chelsea mode, and Todd Bowley kept making it rain until everybody was drowning in dollar bills. And then he ended up going to Chelsea. Jack said, Craig, I'm not looking for sympathy or anything. What I was late because my niece was involved in the incident in Southport. We were touched on that earlier on, Jack, and to your family and to everybody, mate, that our thoughts, our prayers, our love, our best wishes. I know they're only words, but what happened in Southport, mate, is incredibly, incredibly sad, incredibly tragic. I hope your niece is safe, and I hope your family are okay. But man, what a horrible, horrible issue to happen that afternoon to, if I'm right on this, a group of young girls who were in doing a yoga class that was a Taylor Swift themed yoga class, for that brutal, unprovoked, sickening attack. It's there aren't words, mate. There aren't. I'm so sorry for what happened there, and I hope your family are safe. What's my favourite movie of all time? I think with movies and music, I don't know if I could say I ever have a favourite of anything, because I'd more have a favourite in certain genres. So a movie that really struck a chord with me, and a movie that I'll rewatch over and over and over again, is A Bronx Tale. I think I'm right in saying it was the first movie Robert De Niro directed and was in as well. Love that film to bits. Love it to bits. Another movie that I'll watch over and over again is Goodfellas. If I ever see it on, I never scroll past it. Then I have the other type of movies like Jay and Silent Bob. Those type of movies like Don't Be a Menace to South Central, but Drinking Your Juice in the Hood. Blazing Saddles. Another one that just always has me pissing myself laughing when I watch it. Yeah, those. Can I say where's the money, John, for me? Absolutely I can, Danny. My pleasure. Where's the money, John? Where's the money? Where's the money, John? Where is... I think it's important that you look straight into the camera when you do the where's the money, John. You need to give it that bit of extra emphasis. Fight Club, great movie as well. Do you know what movie blew my socks off? Because I watched it and there was no hype when I watched it. And I left the cinema going, Shawshank Redemption. Oh, what a movie. And then you've got my favourite Irish movies as well. So, you know, if I'm thinking about Irish movies, Man About Dog, absolutely amazing. The Commitments, The Snapper, The Van, War of the Buttons, you know, so lots. Here's a great TV show if you haven't seen it and you can find it. Love Hate. It's an Irish criminal TV show. It's incredibly good viewing. If you want to watch it, it's brilliant. Really worth a watch. Probably the best bit of television RTE were involved in producing in the past 20 years. Incredible. I've got a bone to pick with you, Nidgy. Right, anyway, back to the football talk. What's this one? I mean, I don't know sometimes where the Echo come up with this shite from, but they've said Liverpool dealt transfer blow with Napoli open to Victor Osimhen deal with Chelsea. How is that a blow to us in any way, shape or form? We were never in the mix for Victor Osimhen. So that is some mental gymnastics that will get you on the podium in Paris. That is astonishing to try and knit that jumble of nonsensical words together into something that Liverpool fans are supposed to be concerned about. I haven't got a chance to watch Kin yet, LFC Love. I haven't, believe it or not, I haven't actually watched Kin yet. I've heard great things though. Also, there's been some more links coming out of Italy to us with Maximilian Bayer. Remember the young Hoffenheim striker that we've mentioned previously? There's more links coming out to link us with him. They said Rabiot picked United ahead of Liverpool. I know, you can't make some of the crap up that some of these... And I don't know who came out with the Rabiot rejected Liverpool story. But again, just draw your mind back to him, love heart emojis, when Anfield were under the lights in the Champions League night. He's already a self-professed Liverpool fan. The idea that he would turn down the opportunity to come to Liverpool, to go anywhere else in the Premier League, is absolute nonsense of the highest order. The truth of that matter is, Liverpool didn't want Adrien Rabiot. Didn't want them this time, didn't want them 2 years ago, didn't want them previously when we had the chance to sign them. So yeah, that one can definitely go on Bullshit Island. Barnsley actually are looking at taking Scanlon and McConnell on loan, according to a couple of reports yesterday. Craig, I love how I changed the topic from footy to TV. Hey, look, I'm open to any questions, Omar, my friend, you know? If you have a question to ask me on anything, if I can give you an answer for it, bro, I will. And I love a little tangent as well, mate, off into... we used to just talk about food on our tangents, but, bring in TV, no problem. So for those of you coming in a little bit late, here's your stat of the day, with thanks to our friends at Anything Liverpool. Give them the credit for a great post. They say 32 days left in the transfer window, and every club in the Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, and the Portuguese Premier Division have all signed players. Every club in all of those leagues, except, guess who? That's right, us. Ernest Lots, Tricky Reds. We're the only one out of all of those leagues, any of the clubs, that have not yet signed a goddamn player in this summer transfer window. I'm alright though, I'm cool. Nothing to see. Bremer, Veerman and Gyökeres, what are your thoughts? I'm not Adrian. Mate, I'm not Adrian. Ikram, my thoughts are Bremer, 27, which you guys reliably informed me of yesterday. I thought he was about 25. Can't see us spending £50 million on a 27-year-old centre-back. And I don't know that much about him, to be fair. I haven't really kept track of him at Juventus. Veerman, those links have already been denied as being made up. And that's coming from the Netherlands, not from our side. And what was the other one you mentioned there? Gyökeres. Interesting one, because lots of reports suggest that Sporting are willing to take less than his £86 million buyout clause. I think Gyökeres would be the type of signing that you could see us looking at if we were absolutely certain that Darwin wasn't going to cut it. But with Darwin still, to be given an opportunity under Arne Slot, and with Jayden Danns and his potential future, I'd be really surprised if we were in for Gyökeres. I wouldn't say no, but I'd be very surprised. Thoughts on Mo as a false 9? I mean, a false 9 means someone dropping a bit deeper to pick up the ball. I'd want Mo as a 9, not as a false 9. I'd want him playing right through the centre. But even at that, what I think might happen this season is, and I'm trying my best to try to explain this, does everybody know what the half space is? So if I start talking about utilising the half space, are we all comfortable what a half space is? I'm going to try and explain it to you if you can. So think of the goal, the 6-yard box and the 18-yard box. So draw a line from the centre of the goal out to the edge of the 6-yard box, and then the 6-yard box to the edge of the 18-yard box. That space from the edge of the 18-yard box, the kind of near the edge of the 6-yard box, that's a half space. The pitches are divided up into 3, usually into 3 segments. The half space is the space basically running between the 6-yard box and the 18-yard box, that little pathway there. So what I'm expecting to happen based off what we're seeing so far is Mohamed Salah to invert even more into that space, not stay as wide as he did previously, and us to create an overload then with Conor Bradley coming down or Dominic Szoboszlai overlapping on that right hand side. That would give us less space for Mo to have to cover between picking up the ball and scoring. Because one of the biggest problems with Mo last season was sorry, I'm confused by one of those ones. Was how wide he was. He was too far away from goal, and he was have to work really hard to get into those positions that he does his best work in. So if we can have him cutting in a little bit, trying to play into that half space, and then having runs coming around the overlap, it gives us options, and it gives him less distance to goal. So that's what I expect to happen. But we've only got a small, tiny little sample size so far to look at. So what's this one? So this coming in as a transfer rumour, again, credit to our friends at Anything Liverpool. They're crediting Tutto Mercato, an Italian outlet. They say Liverpool have contacted Genoa about Morten Frendrup, who's valued at around £21 million by Genoa. So, help? I take it he's a defensive midfielder, right? Or a central midfielder. I can't say I watch much of Genoa. But you're leaving out Trent. Sorry, Paul, the reason I'm leaving out Trent is because I was thinking in my head about the game the other day when we had Bradley, Salah and Grafenberg and Szoboszlai on the pitch. I wasn't intentionally leaving out Trent, mate. Trent can absolutely be in that position as well. I was just utilising the players that were on the pitch the other night when we were playing. So yeah, Frendrup, any feedback? Good enough? Not good enough? I mean, it could be one of those signings that Edwards has seen numbers and statistics and things that we don't know as lay people, and I'm open to that, but I don't know much about him. As is Swede, Gyökeres is pronounced Gyökeres. Yes, Ben, but as an idiot. No problem, bro. I'll try my best to pronounce it correctly going forward. And I was calling me an idiot there, by the way, just to clear up any confusion. Frendrup has been likened to Kante. Oh yeah, I'll have a bit of that. Escape Ado. Sign me up for a bit of that then. So Morten Frendrup. This is the transfer link that's come out there. Say Liverpool have contacted Genoa about Morten Frendrup, who's valued at around £21 million by Genoa. Ah, cool. Look at this. Is why Connor's awesome. Wait till you see this, lads. Do you know what I mean? Watch this. Watch how good Mr. Crosby is. Hang on 2 seconds. You ready? Watch this. There you go. Connor, being the hero that he is, has helped me out here by getting me a graphic that explains what I was trying to say earlier on. So you see that half space on the right hand side. So you've got wide area, centre, and then wide area again. That grey half space down the right hand side, that's the area that I expect Mohamed Salah to activate in a lot more this year. That's the area that Jesse Marsh was saying that modern coaches are looking to get crosses from this area rather than the wider area, because statistically it's proven that crosses from the half spaces and balls played back from the half spaces are more statistically likely to lead to a goal scoring opportunity. So that's what the half space is there. And again, thank you, Connor, for getting that graphic made so quickly for me. Brilliant. Thank you, Connor. Honestly, that was amazing. Thank you very much. Morten Frendrup plays as a defensive midfielder, also left and right fullback. Okay, that would work for us. I'm obviously not going to spend my evening researching this guy and seeing what we think on it, but it's an interesting link to say the least. Let's wait and see if anything comes of it. It's again, it's a player that is valued at about 20 million quid, so nowhere near the upper echelons of defensive midfield price points. But if he's the right player, he's the right player. You know, I can't sit here and say I trust Hughes and Edwards and then piss all over the signing they make. So if he's the guy that they've chosen, then he'll get every bit of support that we can give him. What would be your front three be, including potential signings? Salah, Darwin. To start, Gakpo on the left. And honestly, even including a signing, like if we brought in Anthony Gordon tomorrow, I would still argue start the season with people who understand the system. So I'd still say Salah right, Darwin centre, and Gakpo or Lucho on the left. Craig, is it possible to also mention the reliability grades of some of the Liverpool fan sites? No. And I'll tell you why. Because that's unfair of me to judge other fan sites. You know? They're aggregators. Think of it that way. So to say, let's say, anything Liverpool is more on the money than Anfield sector would be incredibly unfair, because most of these guys are aggregators of news and do a job for a lot of us by bringing all the Liverpool news stories together and giving us the tidbits of information to then look deeper into them, go find the stories. But think of them as an aggregator accounts rather than their own genuine sources. Now, some of these accounts themselves, of course, do have tiering systems in place. But again, I don't like going down those type of links either, because it's all weird ranking source links. I mean, for me, you've got the obvious ones that we all listen out for, which is your Paul Joyce's, your David Ornsteins, Fabrizio Romano's, James Pearce, and even all of those won't be perfect 100% of the time. What are your thoughts on why we actually haven't signed anybody yet? Do you think we're just being patient for the right guys or waiting for all the players to come back? A factor of a few things. Waiting for the right player, but not just from the sense of view of the right player, the right money for the right player, because that has to come into this equation. So for instance, let's say off the top of our heads right now, we sign Morten Frendrup next week. That's going to be roughly a 20 to 25 million pound signing. There's already, because of the price tag, going to be people doubting that signing, because it isn't an 80 or 100 million signing. But honestly, I wouldn't be one of them. I have to say that I wouldn't be. If we make a signing in that position, I will believe it's because that's the right player. I'm willing to give that benefit of the doubt, but I'm not willing to give the benefit of the doubt if a player's available at centre back for 70 million quid. I don't know if I believe our owners will go for that player, even if that player is the right player, because I think they're cheap. I think we initially then have to start scaling back to the 30-40 million bracket, because that's the kind of transfer fee that we seemingly are more comfortable operating in. Maybe our targets are on holidays and we want to wait till they get back. Right, and a lot of transfer deals are done while people are on holidays, mate. Remember when Salah signed his last contract for Liverpool? Where was he? He was on his holidays. No. Away with the international teams, absolutely. You know, hands off other way on international duty. I get that altogether. But not holidays. Holidays is basically work time for agents and players. You know, a player doesn't necessarily get involved in these deals as much as the agent would. The player can still have his holiday, spend time with their family, relax, unwind. Yeah. So no, I wouldn't say it's because of the holidays, mate. That's just in the category of excuse making. Sorry, just fixing my back end screen. Craig, it worries me when we're linked with the unknown at that budget. It's very much FSG. It is. It's a fair critique, but I can't be a hypocrite. You know, I can only speak for me. And I've always said, if we get the positions that we need strengthening filled, and these guys have picked these players, I'm at least willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and let the season progress. We can talk again in January at the end of the season or whatever, but I can't be a hypocrite and say, you know, unless they're 60 million quid players, I'm going to be happy. It's just about getting the right player. And sometimes, like Andy Robertson, that right player can be a bargain. And if this young man came in at 20-25 million quid and did a job, that would be a bargain. But there also has to be some big money occasionally. And the centre-back is where I would expect us to have to spend that money. So, you know, let's wait and see. I think Ugarte is the break-the-bank signing who could get us the title. Completely wrong type of player for us, in my opinion. And I was somebody in the past who was kind of open to Ugarte, but watching him play for Uruguay in the Copa America, the distribution side of his game and the decision-making side of his game, progressing with the ball, is horrendous. It's it became very apparent to me very quickly why Enrique wasn't using them at PSG when I watched them play for Uruguay in the Copa America. Very good at winning the ball, very good defensively, very good combative midfielder, but dog shit in possession. And that won't work for us. Gomes from Wolves starts ahead of Ederson for Brazil. For now. But you ask any Brazilian who they think is going to be the midfield trio for the next cycle. And most of the ones that I've been in contact with say Ederson, Bruno Guimaraes and Douglas Luiz are the midfield trio that they expect to be pushing ahead. So that's just my thoughts. And look, the player you've mentioned there we've actually been linked with as well. João Gomes from Wolves. Do you think we get Wharton or Varela? Definitely no to Wharton. I think Man City have eyes on him, but I think they're willing to try and wait another year. We've got to remember something about Crystal Palace here as well. They're not going to want to be asset stripped within it into their life. They've lost Olise. They could lose Mark A potentially. They could lose Eze. They're going to need to keep some, you know, semblance of a squad together there. So I can't see them selling too many. And I think Manchester City are certainly looking at him, but they look at him they want to wait a year, according to reports. Varela, we've seen the links, described as, from the report I read, as a potential Javier Mascherano of the future. But I don't know enough about him. I haven't watched enough of Porto. Do you think Bajcetic could be a revelation for us this season? This season, not so sure. In the long term, absolutely. I love Stefan Bajcetic. it's just a lot to ask of any pro, let alone somebody who's missed the whole season at a young age, to be able to come back in and get back to the level required that quickly. I think we have to show some patience with Stefan this season, ease him back in, substitute appearances, some domestic cup games, but overall, incredibly good player. €300,000 from Celta Vigo, and I've no doubts about him, and the club long term. Definitely for me, I would put any amount of money on Stefan making it. He's really good, but I don't know if it's going to be this year because we have to be patient with him. So, United Fredo, my friend, you're welcome into our chat, bro. It's always lovely to have opposition fans in for a little bit of chat. But, I mean, you've said they think Zubamendi will leave Spain. I don't think we're signing Zubamendi, and I've never once thought we're signing Zubamendi. Have only ever been told no when we've been talking to a journalist or two about Zubamendi. But any player will move to any top league in Europe if the number's big enough. And Zubamendi is not exactly playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona, mate. He's playing for Real Sociedad, who are a very good club, but, the right numbers, any player's available. You know that yourself, sure, as a United fan. You've overpaid for enough of them. Why does it seem like we're shopping in Italy and Portugal? Are they considered to be lower European football tiers? Let me just get that up on screen for you. I can't really speak to Italy other than Richard Hughes would have an expert knowledge of Italian football. He grew up over there, as we mentioned before. His father worked for Penguin Publishing, and he worked over in Italy while he was a kid. His father was working in Italy, so he grew up in and around Italian football, has good contacts, great knowledge of Italian football, so it doesn't surprise me at all to see us being linked to players from Serie A, because he would know that league really well. What was the other league you mentioned, bro? Portugal. Let's be honest, Portugal have produced or bought in some really, really good talent in recent years. I mean, what a hotbed of football for South American talent, of course, coming into the league. And also, some of these countries, they can get players in and get them work permits a lot easier than coming into the UK under the post-Brexit rules. So, Darwin, another good example, obviously, came over there, was at Almeria, came into Benfica, developed there for a few years, great player. They have a history of doing it. So there are some really, really good value players to be had in Portugal. We also have a good scouting network there from when Pep Linders was at the club. So I would imagine still kind of probably leaning on those. What happened to William Pacho Liverpool? I can only speak for what I've been seeing and been told, and I've never heard his name come up in a conversation other than from my fellow fans asking about us signing him. I've never seen a real link to us and him. Do we not just need a defensive monster like Ugarte in midfield alongside Szoboszlai and Maka who can break lines? No, not if we want the perfect guy. And remember, that's what we're being told here. We've got a guy in Endo who can break up play. But for us, look, we'd buy him tomorrow if he was the right guy, because PSG want rid and the price tag is not unreasonable. So if he was scoring well on our recruitment tests, I'm sure we would have gone for him, but it's just not the right type of player. Liverpool deserve better owners. Seriously, very poor from FSG, making the club look like a poor club. It's because they don't care. And I keep coming back to this. They don't give a shit. They're sitting over there seeing the value of the club going up and up and up and up and up. They've saved 18 million quid, 18.5 million quid in wages by Adrian leaving, Thiago leaving and Matip leaving. Do you know what really gets me though? Cam, is not even a contract extension sorted yet. Like literally nothing. You went 30 years without a top league title. Bet it won't take us that long. it took you 27 before your last one, genius. It's not exactly like out of the realms of possibility. I remember singing 27 years and you've never won the league. Look, mate, you don't believe the shite that you're writing. Stop trying to come in and convince the rest of us that we're scared of United. We are not in the slight bit scared of the shit show at Old Trafford. Focus on yourselves, enjoy the Europa League, take care of Ken Lasso. We'll see when he gets fired halfway through the season. I'd be more concerned, mate, if I was you, about everybody getting fired and sacked because Jim wants to save money. So, I'd be more concerned about that if I was you than worrying about Liverpool, because I can promise you, there's not one person in our chat from a Liverpool perspective who has any concern about Old Trafford or the shit show that's going on there. Not one. Even your own hardcore fans, former players, everybody knows you're not ready for a title charge or anything yet. So don't worry about us. We're good. We'll take care of Liverpool. You just worry about the laughing stock that Ken Lasso was turned United into. How'd you go and finish bottom of one of the weakest Champions League groups? How'd you manage that? Like, Bayern, fair enough. But Galatasaray? And was it Copenhagen? And you... Quite frankly, I expect an apology. I expect a fucking apology on behalf of you to the rest of the Premier League for ruining the coefficient between the state of your performances in there. Quite frankly, mate, I think you always owe an apology. You could have cost the Premier League a Champions League spot because you couldn't even finish third in the group. Let that sink in now. Third in a shit group. Third. Couldn't even get that. Highlight of your season was a win against us. No, it was the win against Man City in the FA Cup was the highlight of your season. Sorry, I'm getting confused there, going back through the years. Just stop. And also, 7-0. Forever. And ever. And ever. And no matter how many times, it's always going to come back. 7-0. 7-0. And you gobshites sat back and allowed him to let that happen. 7-0. And you, seeing your captain and Fernandes and the rest of the club just rolling around like little whiny bitches. 7-0. 7, not 2, 3, 7. It was... I won't lie to you, mate. I had to get the tissues. It was that exciting for me. Imagine going to your greatest rivals and your players rolling over like little bitches and losing 7-0. And still not sacking the manager. And I'm supposed to sit here and be cowering in my boots about Manchester United for this season. Go on, mate. Do me a favour. You don't even believe the shit you've been writing for the evening. But I will say thank you for making me smile, because every time I get angry about FSG or every time I get annoyed about a lack of transfers, I remember the money you spent on Anthony, and I remember the money that your manager spent on some of those absolute car crash signings. And I remember it could have been worse. Who's Morton Friendrup? He is a player who plays for Genoa, and he's a midfielder, and he's valued at about 21 million. That's about where I'm at now. That's all I know about him. I will have more for you tomorrow on that one. And also, and again, mate, before you go giving a Billy Big Bollocks, do you have your armbands ready for the new season? Because if it rains, we all know you're in trouble there now. So, lots to worry about. Your former superstar Ronaldo laughing at Carrington and talking. So they had to do that. They were embarrassed into actually having to do up Carrington. Ronaldo threw the toys out of the pram and told everyone how shitty Carrington was. So now they had to go and spend that money. So Sir Jim is in there now spending the money doing up Carrington, lashing out P45s like they're confetti. He's there lashing out P45s like a rich fella in a strip club on a Saturday night who's had a couple of bottles of Moet and Chandon, and he's just there making it rain with P45s. And we're supposed to be cowering? No, we're good. And before that, we also... And this wasn't in Ted Lasso's time now, but imagine making Harry Maguire the world's most expensive defender. I can't do anything. I can't take you lads seriously, honestly. Would I take Rafinha to challenge Salah to an arm wrestle? Because not on a football pitch, no. No. And Rafinha's, again, I'm being my own worst enemy here. No. I would have probably taken a punt on Rafinha when he was leaving Leeds, but not now. Would I take Kante? Not at this point, but I will only ever speak highly of N'Golo Kante. And look, he did it at the Euros, still played well, but no. No real future there. But a great player. Just checking back. Cool. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to call it a night and go and get ready. So look, just a reminder before we go. Again, we're only now, 4 days away from the Cardiff show and 6 days away from the show in Liverpool. And don't forget, for the show in Liverpool, I think it's this one. Yep, we've got David Lynch joining us on the night as well. So you'll get to ask David some questions around all things Liverpool. We have Carl Porter performing a stand-up set. He's from Manchester, so could just be all about United. He's a Liverpool fan, but he could just take the piss out of United for 20 minutes. I'd be there for it. And then, of course, you're going to have little old me as well on the night. And in Cardiff, we've got Chris Donage joining us. Ben's going to be there and the whole Anfield Agenda team. So if you haven't got your tickets, they're running low in Liverpool, so I wouldn't hang about. There's still plenty for Cardiff because it's a big venue. But you can get them with the link at the top of the chat or in the description of the stream. So I will catch up with you guys in the morning for the morning news video. Until then, thank you very much. And don't forget, new podcast episode coming out tomorrow as well.